Good morning, afternoon, and evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Industry Podcast, an esports insider podcast focused on the people and personalities in and around the esports industry. I'm your host, Kerry Waterman, back from paternal leave. I am the proud father of a beautiful baby girl, but it has been 2 months since I have been on the pod. But it's a great time to be back because I am welcoming our 10th guest, Dominika Szot, head of brand strategy at Grid Esports. How you doing, Dominika?
Hello, thank you. And no pressure that it's a 10th episode and after a break. So hopefully we're fine. But yeah, I'm good. Good catching up and good seeing you, Carrie. And congrats on your baby. It's an amazing achievement. Pretty cool.
Thanks. Thank you very much. And I also want to say congratulations to you because since last we spoke in May at the PGL Major, you have accomplished quite a lot. You've recently been named the Esports Insider Hall of Fame industry rising star, right? Industry rising star for this year, 2022.
That's correct.
And
That's correct.
You've also joined the Women in Esports committee as well. That's a big deal.
Yeah, kept myself busy. Yeah. Yeah, we just joined, and now raising. So now I need to raise and I need to do something after I joined. So yeah, just getting started.
Just getting started. But before all of this, before all of your many achievements, and before joining Grid, I'm really curious because I really don't know what brought you into esports in the first place.
So my background is more in general gaming, video games. So the whole career, let's say, started on the game developer and game publisher side. Then I in Poland, indie studio that grew into something slightly bigger, and then I moved to Huawei, where I was working on mobile games. And working at Huawei, I'm super grateful for that experience because it taught me a lot. It was like a MBA, just in real life with hands-on and responsibilities. So was quite a ride. But being there, I've realized that I have this startup spirit and the urge to create and be like truly hands-on with small agile team and with multiple hats on my head probably as well. And at that point, I started to record my podcast. It's Her Game. And Daniel, who's the founder of Streamcards, a broadcast innovation product that is powered by Grid, he approached me and asked whether I'd be interested in joining him on the Streamcards project. And I was looking for the way back to get to startup scene. And esports was something that I was following naturally because of my background in video games. And it was a mix of curiosity and an urge to get back on the ring and like on the scene and just get my hands dirty with the work from the scratch. And yeah, that's how it started. That's where maybe kind of a pivot happened. And after that, I was at Streamcards for half year and I moved to Grid, which at the point when I was at the Streamcards was a data provider for Streamcards product. And that's how I came across the company itself. So yeah, pretty much that sums up how I ended up, well, not ended up, but how I came to the point where I am now. I don't think this is the end. So.
No, I don't think so either. With the amount that you've achieved just this year, I think this is just the beginning. We first spoke actually because I did an interview with Stream Cards, and that's how I got introduced to you and Daniel. And then I can't necessarily say I was surprised, but it was a pretty big move, I thought, moving from Stream Cards, this super agile startup with a very niche and very interesting product. For our listeners that aren't aware, Stream Cards is a Twitch integration in which during broadcasts, viewers can interact in a sort of card game fashion with what they predict will be happening within the match, and so it uses Grid's data integration to sort of analyze these things that are happening. And I thought that was super unique and innovative product. But moving up from this very niche product, from Stream Cards to Grid, what can you say about like the span of products and services that Grid has to offer versus just, hey, enabling these sort of niche projects?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Streamcards is like a use case for grid data. And once I was at Streamcards and I came across the grid team and I started to be in charge of this partnership, I became really curious about what is within this black box of in-game data. And moving to grid, I think like in general in-game data sector or well yeah part of the industry is still emerging and very new, and it's very exciting to be part of the company that's paving the way for something much bigger with the use of the in-game data. And of course, the one example that comes to mind for majority of the people is betting, and it's probably the hardest use case to master and the hardest one because of all the regulations and everything that surrounds that part of the industry. It's also a great revenue stream for the right holders, for tournament organizers. But that's just one way of thinking about the in-game data and what they can do and what they can bring to the table. And what Grid does, and what I think it's pretty unique on in the industry and on the industry landscape, is that we provide in-game data infrastructure to the game IP right holders, so more fans can engage with the competitive gaming titles. And what I mean by that is that we want to facilitate the access to the competitive titles for fans who would like to interact with it in the various ways. So you have people who are skilled and who can play and who can master the meta and go on the stage and be at the center of the entertainment and have the most adrenaline from that and the most excitement from what's happening. But then you also have fans who are watching. You have casual players who might want to understand the game better without spending a lot of time playing or doing it professionally. You also have people who just want to be part of the culture. Gaming is games, video games. They have their IP, so you can build the entire world around that. And Moritz, who is the founder of Grid, well, he didn't he didn't create the company because he purely loved data, right? So he saw data as the new asset, something of a value for the right holders that can unlock the potential of something much bigger and new ways of the actual fan engagement, not only participation in the scene, but being part of it, having hands-on and having a say in that. So the use cases, coming a bit around that, but the use cases of the data, well, betting is the first one, but then you have broadcast innovation that's like stream cards. You have media use cases. So we, for example, are integrated with Spike.gg that provides stats about Valorant, and they use our data and our widgets to provide more in-depth stats on the games in real time and later also to provide more context for what's happening in the game. So this way you can enrich the experience of people who are watching and who are familiar with the game, but also those who maybe are not that caught up with the title that can go there and they can understand what are the abilities of the agents in Valorant, how did they perform across the game, etc. That's another one. Then we have products like Prosper.gg, which is another innovative solution for on-screen, on live stream entertainment. You can just vote on what's going to happen in the game, and the power of the data that we're dealing with is that they are live. So you can be part of the moment, thanks to the fact that everything's happening in real time. So it's hard to say where this list ends, because it is just impressive to observe how much can be created with with data assets, with the data assets from the game. We've recently also launched fantasy for PUBG with Krafton. So that's another one that's great use case of in-game data for battle royale titles. So yeah, quite a lot, and I'm really excited about being part of it and seeing more of the innovation being supported by what we're offering, and yeah, and the new way of interacting with gaming in general, competitive gaming, coming to the scene.
Grid has an exclusive partnership with Riot, correct?
That's correct. Yes, with Riot for Valorant specifically, we're the official partner for Riot Valorant.
So, are you able to talk a little bit about how that partnership works? Like how you're able to use or be the like what does being the data partner for Valorant
Mm-hmm.
mean both for Riot but also for, other tournament organizers that are running Valorant?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Riot is a great example. So we've announced this partnership in March, I believe. So it's still quite new. It hasn't even been a year so far. So obviously we are working on a lot of projects that I can't openly discuss or speak about. They are still in progress. But speaking generally about this partnership, this is exactly where we see this growth and this shift in understanding what is the potential of the data and how they can be in-game data, and how these assets can be leveraged for the game IP and for like increasing the fan base. Riot is a great example of someone who of the company that understands the needs of multiple groups that exist within the fan base of a title. They know that some people will watch Arcane and some people will play the game, and some people will go down the professional path, and some will just be the fans. So they know how to cater to each of these groups. And what we're working on now with Riot is also something that caters to multiple use cases, and will definitely move the needle here on how people can engage with in-game data. So I unfortunately can't share a lot, but I can definitely tell that it's very exciting to partner with someone who's aligned on the vision and who understands the potential of the data that is well in the game essentially. So they've been great, and we'll probably be able to share some more details in the upcoming future.
I've read a lot about Grid, working at Esports Insider because Grid has been a long time supporter of Esports Insider. So, from my understanding of how Grid works on multiple levels, at least in a partnership with someone like Riot, um, on the broadcast side, is that Grid is able to pull what is happening in the game data, pure data, and then synthesize that into usable figures. So when you are watching a broadcast and you see, and the analysts are talking about champion matchups and the percentage of, okay, in this case this is likely going to happen, or throughout this whole series we've seen that this matchup this sort of happens, or this is this player stat with this champion, right? That's one application of Grid's data, correct?
It can be an application of the data that we offer on the Grid data platform. It is not yet powered by our platform, like this particular use case, but it's definitely possible when we speak about what type of data we deal with. So yes, the data that we offer are directly from the game. We organize them, we enrich them, and if you think about Grid in the way of like what we offer to the right holders. So one thing is obviously something that we've started 4 years ago. So sourcing this data, enriching it, organizing on the platform, and then helping with the distribution. We've started with tournament organizers. We've matured the product. We've developed it, tested on on this ground. And now working with game developers, we can bring this knowledge to the table, bring the knowledge of esports as the use case as well to some extent, and work with them directly, not only on providing one fits all solution, but on creating something that's dedicated for the specific audience. So we do provide the infrastructure, of course, but we also bring the expertise to the table and couple of years of experience building the piping for the in-game data, and now being able to distribute that and bringing use cases that are relevant to the table, as in the case of Krafton's Fantasy PUBG esports that we've released recently. That's also something that we've been working on with Krafton. Together, we identified great partner that is Thrive Fantasy, and they helped us to develop this product that now is offered in North America for PUBG fans. So yeah.
And so you were speaking about the Grid data platform before, and that's a sort of very core product of Grid. But earlier this year, you guys unveiled the Grid Open platform, which was to open up Grid's data capabilities to the public and give them a sort of playground to see what they could work with. And I was curious if there was, since now it's nearing the end of the year, has there been any interesting use cases for that yet?
Well, it's great you brought that. I brought the Grid Open platform to the discussion, because I'm a big fan of everything that empowers community. And once I started back in the days in video games, it was also about building the community, empowering it, giving it tools to engage with the IP of the game. So if you think about Grid Data Platform as the core concept of Grid and something that's the umbrella above all the specific features that we're offering, as the partner of Grid, you can enter this data platform as the, let's say, commercial partner, right? And open platform, it's not as much a new product as it is a new path to the same platform. So we want to, it's more of the initiative or a project that allows people to get access to the same platform that the commercial partners can access, just with the limited portion of the data, enough to kickstart working on the projects that requires access to such data assets. And since we've launched, we've onboarded over 80 projects. So it's quite a nice pool of innovation, and this circles back slightly to our discussion about stream cards and the use cases. I can come up with a list and give you 5, 6, 10 examples, but to see things that people are coming to us with on this open platform, it's next level. This is what I love about empowering community, and where I think bringing in-game data to the fans is so powerful, because like my understanding has its own limits, and everyone everyone is in the situation like that. Once it's collective and once you give the access to the tools, you unlock the potential of people who might not necessarily be able to do that without this support. So we have now over 80 projects, starting from academics, where we have PhD students or master degree students accessing our data to use it for their thesis, for their work at the university. We have media use cases with some teams. I can't really disclose now whom, but we do have a couple of professional teams who are using this to test their new products with such access. We do have independent creators who've created a couple of Discord bots that are using our data and are now integrated with various Discord servers, allowing them to have access to the stats and to see the progress of their favorite teams, or to be alerted where the game starts. We do have also innovation similar to stream cards. So products like that, there are really, it's mesmerizing, like once you look at this. And I love to go to this database that we have, and just, even though I'm not leading this project anymore, because now Isaac, our delivery manager, is in charge of this. And I can just have a look at the types of products that we have on the platform. But every week we got someone who's applying, and Grid Open Platform is still in beta, so it's also quite limited. But the interest that we got is pretty impressive, and the fact that people are applying from the most remote ends of the world. We have people from India, from Japan, from US, from the entire Europe, from Australia, and yeah, pretty impressive that we've kickstarted something like that didn't really exist in the past. So it's pretty cool to yeah, empower people who are passionate about the industry we're working in, and can bring this change and build this bridge between where we are now and the future.
Yeah, I also think it's really interesting that, like, what I think is so fun to hear about is when developers put out something in game, for instance, right? They create a mechanic, they build the game, they test it, they think it's really solid and cool, and gamers will always find a way to break it or find a way to create a an innovative use of the mechanics that the developers never ever thought about, because when you're working on a product you're really so focused on things. So it's really cool to be able to open it up, and I think for a lot of games it's releasing the game, putting it out there in the world, and then letting the players in, and
Yeah.
then letting them go wild. And for you guys it's sort of, the grid product, and from what I understand, most of the grid products are commercial products, so they're not really for consumers or anything. But the grid open platform is maybe your guys' first consumer product, and so it's got to be super exciting to see what people are coming up with, even given the limited capabilities of the product in beta. Um, that's got to be super fun. Do you have any of your ideas that you sort of mentioned that you could name, 5, 10, 6, or something? Is there anything that you're really hoping that somebody makes real?
Yeah, I do have a couple of, let's say, dreamed products that I'd love to see being developed with our data. Uh, the yeah, I would love to see, like, for me, the fun engagement part, from the pure name of the, let's call it, use case, like, speaks about engaging people, and I would like to see that on the deeper layer. I'd like to see that on the layer that, like, Streamcast is a great product, but Streamcast is also something that you interact on the, like, you don't go deep into what's happening in the game. It's still like the first, like, we're scratching the fun engagement surface with that, which is great because someone has to do this first step, right? But I'd love to see more immersive experiences that capitalize on the fact that this data is live, that you can have maybe some stats that help you to understand the game better. You can customize your experience. So on one side you have someone who mastered the game, let's say, and it's a hardcore fun, and would like to watch the stream without necessarily being informed about the abilities of the agent, as in Valorant, because they know it by heart. But they would like to understand, for example, what is the status of the economics now, and how that's gonna impact the future runs, and have these more in-depth stats that can help to theorize what's going to happen next. So this customized, more immersive experience is something that I'd like to see. I'm really curious whether that's going to happen on Twitch, though, because like, Twitch extension, you can only have one plugged in, and it's limiting a bit the capabilities of the platform. I'd love to see it there. I mean, of course, but I'm curious to see what can be built using the data for the industry that maybe will shake the status quo of the platforms that are now providing the streams as well. So I think that starting with something small with baby steps, someone can go to a bit of a rigid market now, and yeah, be a bring a change there. So I would really love to see that.
Yeah, and I wanted to also take some time in our interview to chat about your work in the like female presence in gaming sphere, because as I mentioned at the top of the podcast, you've been awarded the Esports Insider Hall of Fame award. You've just joined the Women in Esports committee. You have your own podcast, It's Her Game, and you're also a Women in Games ambassador as well. So tell me more about all of these things. I mean, I an Esports Insider head of media, Morgan. She sits on the board in the Women in Esports, and you also interviewed her for your podcast. So I know a little bit from watching her interview, but I would like to hear more about what your involvement is going to be, not only in Women in Esports, the organization, the committee, but also your passion there for really diving deep into this area of the sector.
Sure. Maybe let's start where it's all started. So, once I was at Huawei, I was already convinced that I want to get back to games, to be on the creator side, whether that's video games itself or esports or any other vertical within the video games sector. I knew that, but I wasn't really aware of what are my options, what were at that point my options. So I started to look at what my friends or colleagues or people from the industry were doing, and I couldn't get a grasp on that. Like what's funny in our industry is if you look at the companies that are even in the same category of the industry, two people who do the same job in two different companies have two very different names for their jobs. And that's perfectly fine, but that doesn't help to understand, how this industry works. And with the rapid growth of video games, of esports, the positions are also like emerging every day. So you have people who are dealing with something that wasn't even there a year ago. So how to name it, right? So you come up with your own name, and it's very fragmented, and it's hard to navigate and to understand where you should go next. So I knew that I wanted to speak to people about what they are doing, and I want to do it in the way that I would like this to work. So what I saw being in that industry in the first company that I was in, so on the publisher side, and then in Huawei as well, that female professionals were always a minority, so minority. So like wherever I was, like it came to the point that I was sometimes mistakenly taken for a hostess, because it was just hard for people to embrace that I might be working in video games. And then I was asked questions like, are you playing anything? Or how did it happen? Was that an accident? So not, I mean, I knew that I faced that, and I was okay. I moved away from it, and I'm fine. But I was thinking that if that happened to me, then for sure it happened to other female employees in the industry, professionals, and I wanted to speak about that too, and to understand how does it work for the others, how does it work in different countries, and then through these conversations to maybe bring some change and put some light on the issue that exists. And I didn't know how to do that. The idea of podcast wasn't there yet. So one day I woke up and I was like, I'm going to do a podcast. And I called my mom and I told her that I'm going to do a podcast. And she said, finally, girl, no one can listen about your video games and esports and all the news. We have no idea what it is. You need to find people to speak about that are equally passionate as you are. And I was like, Okay, so it was quite intense, I guess. Also, they love me very much that they didn't bring that up before. But I just borrowed a mic. Now I own one, but I borrowed at that point, and I recorded the first episode under the blanket in the wardrobe, essentially. So it was nothing fancy. And that's how it started. And I realized that I'm not the only person who was facing that issue. And the best part of starting with the podcast, and I'll wrap up the podcast part quickly, was that speaking to the women who are in gaming, in esports, speaking to them and providing them with a platform where they can reflect on how much they've achieved so far and what is their role and how they contribute to the industry is so empowering for my guests. I like what I love the most about recording is that I start with someone and it's a conversation that's mostly about what they're doing and like very operational, let's put it this way. And then you see this transformation, through the episode when they become more confident and they start to speak about the achievement, not only the tasks, and they start to speak about things they're passionate about. So I love that, and I want to provide that platform for female professionals to acknowledge their own achievements, and that's how it started. And I also started it at the point when there was nothing about like female professionals in the industry. It was over 2 years ago. So it was also a very good timing to got a lot of attention for my content and got really good partnerships with United Nations, with multiple universities, with a couple companies, esports companies in Poland as well. So it helped me to create that platform that now I would like to leverage in the initiatives like Women in Esports, being a part of the committee now. We have 4 pillars with Women in Esports, and one of them is expertise. And I think that for last 2 years, I've been doing a lot, but I was talking a lot as well. And I was, let's say, gathering information, speaking to people, building awareness of the matter. What I'd like to see more now and what I would like to be part of is to bring a tangible projects and like real steps that will make the change and that will provide the answer to the issues that we've identified over the last years. And I think that as a part of Women in Esports committee, I'll be involved in the projects around the expertise pillar. What that means is that we are focusing on bringing external partners to work with us on the projects that can create a tangible value that can provide some data. So if we look, of course, data. If we look at the status quo that we're in now, and we keep doing our projects, and then we reflect in the year from now and see the information that we've gathered, we can compare how much we've moved the needle, and I'd like to see that more tangible steps. So I hope I'll be able to be a driver for that. Yeah.
Nice. And can we expect new episodes of It's Her Game anytime soon?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I'm. It's yeah. I've joined Grit a year ago, actually in November. So once we're recording, that is exactly a year that I'm at Grit, and it's been a great journey, but it's been like also something very new to me. So I wanted to dedicate my full focus into understanding what we're dealing with, empowering Grit, and making sure that we're getting the best out of the brand that we have. And now having the big picture and the full understanding of where we are, where we're going, I can start to I can get back to what I've been doing on the It's Her Game site. And absolutely, yes, 100%. There'll be episodes. There'll be also new content that is not a podcast, and a couple of initiatives that I'm working on. So that's something I can tease, and I'm looking forward to bringing it all in 2023. So December for me is definitely about doing building the strategy, which I hope I do well considering my role. But yeah, pretty much a lot will happen on the It's Her Game side, but definitely podcast is like 100%. I need that. So I will, of course, do it, for what the great reasons of supporting women and the beautiful drive to do that, but also for myself egoistically, because I just love to speak to the women who are so empowered and so passionate about what they're doing. And I've met so many great friends through these episodes, through doing that. That yeah, I just can't imagine not getting back to this. So yeah, the short answer is yes.
Well, also, following you on social media, you will see how much you have traveled this year. So I can also imagine that is pretty difficult to squeeze in episodes while you are hopping from plane to plane, going to conference, to esports event. Are you anticipating much more of that next year as well, or do you think that you'll be more focused on visiting the beautiful Grid Berlin headquarters, and or are they not going to be able to keep you off a plane next year?
Yeah, I think this year was pretty unique in terms of the conferences, and yes, I do agree that it was quite intense. I think the best part is that I was very oblivious in January that the year would have looked like that. So I'm really happy with the outcome though, and it was like that mostly because I also wanted to understand. As the head of brand strategy, I need to understand where we are in the industry, where is our fit, where we want to be. And as much as I do believe that you can come up with the ideas in isolation, you can't do that without being the part of something bigger and without listening and without getting inspiration from people, from companies, from conversations, from random things you overheard at the conferences, speaking to your audience, speaking to your potential end users, or seeing how others do that. And for me, this year was very much about learning who we are and who we want to be and what we want to provide for our partners. Hence the number of events that I attended and the diversity of them, because they were ranging from betting conferences through esports event to hardcore game dev events. So it was also very intense on the side of managing the perception of who we are, and also well staying sane in the same time. But I do think that next year will be a bit more considerate and a bit more narrowed in the way how we travel and how we do that. And I'm also happy about that because I think I'll definitely be a frequent visitor of Berlin's office. I just heads up for the entire Grid team that I will be there. But we will be definitely more moderate with that. Let's put it this way. I will not have that many jet lags, I guess. But yeah, this year was pretty hectic, but it was great in the way that I could get a full grasp on the industry that we operate in, and I believe we can deliver really good value now, reflecting on the last 12 months.
Yeah, I can imagine. And just to wrap things up, do you think that you could summarize maybe what you've learned in all your travels to all these different conferences, and like where you feel Grid stands, right? That was an objective of yours traveling so much, and also a
Yeah.
sort of lay of the land for 2020 so far of the overlap between gaming, esports, and betting, because they're all semi intertwined. I would put esports in between
Yeah.
gaming and betting there. Like there's a partnership obviously there. Um, yeah, and then maybe you can wrap that up into hinting at what we can expect from Grid in the future.
Yeah, sure. I can give it a shot. So, um, over the last 12 months, what was, I think, the best finding is that grid is a glue for all these three elements that you brought up, and many more. Looking at even our conversation about open platform or stream cards or any other use cases, and it's very powerful to be this substance, that or this layer that can provide the platform to connect so many stakeholders. And I think this is Grid's role. We are not there to be in the front line and shine, but we are there to empower everyone who can benefit from these connections, and who can benefit from the interactions that they might not even be aware of the potential of. And as I said in the beginning, I think that after these 12 months, I believe that Grid provides the in-game data infrastructure, and it provides it to the game IP right holders. So we do believe in working in working with the super right holders, with game developers, with game publishers. We see that they are the one who understand their audience best. They are the one who wants to push the community initiatives, fan engagement, and they understand that there are multiple types of fans and multiple users, and we want to help them expanding this group, and we want to help them to build the data powered ecosystem that everyone, no matter their level of advancement with the title, can benefit from. So I think that was my biggest learning, that we don't need to fit in any of the three, because we are the layer on which the three can, like these three categories can grow. And it's very powerful position, and very promising one for Grid and for myself to build the story and to build the awareness and to educate people, because that's very much what I've also learned this year, is that there is a lot of education to be done to expand the understanding of what we deal here with, what is in-game data, how it can be used. So quite exciting, way ahead. And in terms of what the industry can expect from Grid next year, is I'd say a very holistic approach to how to offer in-game data and how to cater to different groups, and very unified and aligned approach that takes under consideration every type of interaction that is possible, and doesn't prioritize or doesn't put in favor one over another. So we're very much about this alignment and this accessibility and this equal treatment for anyone who's interested in the specific game titles within the competitive gaming. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
You did it. You wrapped it all up. That was great. Dominika, thank you so much for
Thank
appearing
you.
on our show. And for those interested, where can they find you online? You want to share your social media?
Sure. So maybe I'm a bit of a boomer, but I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. So if someone wants to find me, there is just my name and middle name and surname. But if you put only Dominika Szot, you'll also find me there. I'm moderately active on Twitter, and the handle is also my name and surname, so Dominika Szot again. But on Twitter, you can rather expect spikes of of content from me once LinkedIn is pretty active, and Instagram for It's Her Game. So also It's Her Game on Instagram. And if you want to find out more about Grid, then of course grid.gg. That's your destination. Doing my brand job,
Yeah. Doing great. Again, thank you so much. And again, congratulations on all your accomplishments this year. And thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me. As always, Carrie, it was a pleasure. And thanks for giving me this time, the platform to speak about myself. That's new, you know.
Pleasure was all mine.